Alrighty, we are back with another episode. I believe this is episode 4. We're now going to be doing the German vehicles of World War II. Now, there are a lot of German vehicles. There's definitely a lot more German vehicles than there is Soviet and American vehicles in this game. So, yeah, I don't even have all of these kinds of things. I don't even have all of these laid out. I just grabbed the ones I liked the most and literally just laid them out here. So I guess we're going to be starting with the armored cars and the half-tracks. Oh, and that engine sound you're hearing is something that's back there. So I guess for the half-tracks and armored cars, this one here is the Panzerwaffe 42. I think this is actually part of the DLC, which I have this now because I purchased the American DLC thing, the Liberation. So I think I actually have this vehicle I can use now in videos to come. Maybe it depends on... I might do more videos depending on how well episode 7 does. If episode 7 does terrible, then I'm going to stop making videos of the series. So anyways, here's some armored cars here. We got some MGs. They start to kind of upgrade to more armored vehicles. These things I see all the time in War Thunder, especially this one. These tend to be called the Pumas. Of course, there's different varieties of Pumas. You got this, I think this is a Stubby 75. This is a Pack 40 Puma. Yeah, Pack 40 Puma, this thing is... Now this half-track is something I actually might want to use. This looks... I've seen this in Battlefield 5. I know there's a mission where I've seen one of these in Battlefield 5. I can't exactly remember what it was. Here's another. This is a Pack 40 half-track, which is also in Battlefield 5. I think it's actually a call-in. But, yeah. And then you've got this 8.8 centimeter flak over here. Now, the one in War Thunder looks very different from this one. This one actually looks different from the one that's in War Thunder. I don't know if this is like an early model. It looks like to be an earlier model. But, yeah. So over here, we have the Panzer 35Ts and the Panzer 38Ts. These were used mostly in the invasion of France. So, you know, the Ghost Division. Everybody knows that Sabaton song. These are mostly the tanks that made up in the Ghost Division. So here's the first one, the Panzer 35T, and then they led to the 38T, which here's the Model A, and here's the Model G, and here's the Model F. So they slowly upgraded the tanks as they went on. This is a Panzer 1, and this is a Panzer 2. Now this thing, this is a Panzer 1F. I don't know what... I honestly don't even know what to tell you for this. This does not... This looks so weird. I don't know what the Germans were on when they made this, but I'm glad it really didn't exist much. Panzer 2s, you know, kind of similar to Panzer 1s. They have, basically machine guns. This is a Panzer 2L. This one is a little bit better. This is kind of looking like the Baby Tiger, not gonna lie. There is a vehicle called the Baby Tiger, and it looks very similar to this, because, I mean, if you look at the hull, it honestly looks similar to a Tiger. I mean, especially on this one. There was actually a tank that had, this tarp, and it had, I think, a 75mm gun, and they called it the Baby Tiger. But I'll get into that later. So here's some captured tanks that I found that's in Germany. Some. I know there's more, but for some odd reason, they don't have... they don't have all of them. So we got this little T-37 here, which is Soviet. We got this captured BT. Honestly, I would love to see this War Thunder, just a captured German BT. And then here's this... this looks to be either an Italian... I think this is an Italian. Wait, no, hold on. It could be French. It might be French. This is also a French vehicle. It's here. This thing actually was really heavily armored. It actually gave the Germans a bit of trouble, but the only thing that really got them was it was so incredibly slow that when the Blitzkrieg came through, they just went around and had infantry deal with them. And I was talking about this in another video. I think I actually put up a picture in another video. I was talking about this German captured KV-1C. It says KV-1B, but it's a KV-1C. And... I really don't know why this is not available in the dynamic campaign, but this would be freaking awesome to use in dynamic campaign. Yeah, let me tell you, this thing would be, this thing would be nice to use. Over here is the anti-airs. Now, they don't actually have all the anti-airs, they only have these two. There is a Kugelblitz, which I might put a picture of on screen, that they had in World War II. And there is a debate that there was an Austrians 2, but that is still, like, even to this day, people don't even know if it existed. And even then, if it did exist, it doesn't look like the one in War Thunder, so that might actually show up in a future video. But I would at least like to mention the Austrian 2. I think the Wirbelwind is just so much better. I mean, it's quad 20 mils. This thing, as you can see, my dad was using it in a few of our videos, and he was like, yeah, we need an anti-air because of the planes, but this thing is like more anti-infantry than it is anti-air. Like, holy cow. So here we have the SPGs, or the tank destroyers. This thing is very weird looking. So this is a Sturm Panzer 1. I honestly probably could have put this with the Sturm divisions over there, but my phone is blown up right now. And then over here we have the Grill. This is a 150. This is also, I think both of these are 150 millimeter gun. I don't remember. I don't think this is in War Thunder. I could be wrong though. Maybe I've just never used it. It's probably why. Over here is another Grill, but it's different. Sorry. What was I saying? All right, yeah. This is an anti-air Grill. So this is weird. So they actually have a grill for like artillery, and then self-propelled gun, and then they have one that's an anti-air. So I guess there's two anti-airs. This is a Martyr 2, except this is the more garbage model Martyr 2. Yeah. And then I'm going in order, I think, to how they upgraded these. I think, for the most part. This is the Martyr 3M. This one is definitely a lot better, but it still has its issues. This is actually a column leader one, but this is a Panzerjäger 1. So this is the starting line of all of these tanks over here. So this Panzerjäger 1, what is this, a 47 millimeter gun? I think so. And then it went to the Wespe, the Vespa, I think is actually how you're supposed to pronounce it. It's a 105. So this thing is a pretty decent gun. I mean, 105. Wow, that's crazy. Then you have the Nashorn, or the Nashorn as I like to call it. It has an 88 millimeter gun. Now there are a couple more vehicles. They don't have the Dicker Max or the Stura Emil, which I'll have pictures of those. The Dicker Max and Stura Emil, I know one of them. I think it was only a prototype. I don't know. I know one of them didn't see combat. The other one I know did, and it was kind of terrible. But yeah. Oh god, that's stupid. Stupid things making that engine noise. Alright, so over here we have a... Wait a minute. This is a captured vehicle. Why is this not over there with the rest of them? Oh, well, that's my bad. That's supposed to be with the captured vehicles. I don't know what that's doing over here. So here we got the Panzer III flamethrower. You've seen this a lot, in a lot of my videos. We've got the Panzer IIIe. Hold on, I'm getting a phone call. All right, sorry, I'm back. Like I was saying, the Panzer IIIe. Let's see here. So there is some interesting things about this. I think this is a 37. Yeah, this is a 37 millimeter gun barrel. And I know the model A, B, C, and D had different track systems, but that's beside the point. This is a 50 millimeter gun. So this is the Panzer IIIF. There is some slight differences. Like if you look on the turret here, you can notice that this one has like 2 machine guns, and this one only has 1. And there's just very subtle and slight differences. Here, you can see there's more heavier armor. This is the Panzer IIIH. So this one is a little bit better in terms of armor. It's got that extra bolted on the front. Just extra armor in general. This one is a Panzer IIIJ, which this one was a completely new hull design, I can see. So this is also still a 50 millimeter. And yeah, they use the Panzer IIIs to mainly just accompany and help the Panzer IVs. Like, I mean, looking at this is a Panzer IIIJ. This is a L60, so it's a long-barreled 50 millimeter. So this one was able to pen a lot better armor than the short-barreled ones. So long barrel was much better. And then they added the Panzer IIIL, added some bolted-on armor, because things were getting heavier armors on the Soviet end, and I think by the time these started getting heavy armor, the M4s started showing up. So they needed to get heavier armor, and you can see that they basically just slapped armor on the front of this, and it's kind of the same for the Panzer IIIM, except as you can see they have these like little side skirt armors, which is a pretty interesting and intricate design. So these little side skirts were basically to help protect against the Soviet 20mm anti-tank rifles that they would use. So these would actually stop it from penning the side of the tank, because they had it to where the Soviets could just shoot an anti-tank rifle into the side of the tank and it would pen. But this helped stop that. This is the Panzer IIIN. Now, some people tend to mistake this for Panzer IV because it's got a 75mm. But it's a Panzer III, as you can tell. You can look at the turret, you can look at the body, and you can tell it does have the side skirts around the turret, but not around the sides, oddly enough. I mean, I think at this point in the war, they kind of started to run out of armor places. So this is when they started getting out of resources. They were just like, you know what? Whatever remaining Panzer IIIs are left, just turn them into just give them a 75mm. So looking at the Panzer IVs, wow, I forgot how awkward looking these holes were. You look at this hole. Why does it come out on this side? Like this is weird. This is the Panzer IV-D, so they do not have the model A, B, or C in the game, but they do have the model D, so they do have a very early model. This is weird. This did not work. Hence why on the model F1, they had it just flat in the front. And if you notice with Panzer IVs, the turrets on these are actually not centered all the way, which I'm kind of glad this game does keep, because I know World of Tanks, they have the turrets centered, but War Thunder and this game, the turrets are just slightly offset. I mean, that's how they are. Like even the Abrams tank, if you look at the Abrams tank front on, you can see that the turret is actually not exactly centered. Don't ask me why. It's just the way it is. So this is the Panzer IV F2. So this is a longer barreled 75mm, because they needed something to be able to deal with other tanks, because the Panzer IIIs were just there to help with infantry and help the Panzer IVs. The Panzer IVs were a infantry support to charge into his own, capture it, but also be able to deal with tanks. However, when they started encountering KV-1s, they noticed issues were starting to happen, which is why they upgraded these with bigger guns. But we'll get to more about the KV-1s later. This is a Panzer IV-G. There's really not much differences other than if you look at the armor. Let me try to get a good look here. It is thicker, just slightly thicker. And these actually, oddly enough, the Panzer IV-Gs are supposed to have smoke grenades on the turret. Actually, none of these have. I just realized none of the tanks in this game have the smoke grenades. No wonder why these looked so off. I'm so used to these having the little smoke grenades on the turret. You'll see a picture when I show a variant of the Panzer IV-H, which is coming up here soon. So the Panzer IV-H, which is a lot of people's favorite model, has the side skirts like the Panzer IIIM does. Again, this is for the same purpose as to protect them from the anti-tank rifles that the Soviets had. And there is a model of Panzer IV that is in War Thunder that has chicken wire, kind of like the T-34-85 model did. Because near the end of the war, they really were running out of resources or running out of everything, so they were just putting whatever they could onto their tanks for just that little bit of extra armor. Now, obviously, in my opinion, the track armor, it was a lot better to deal with like tank rounds, was to put the track armor on. It wouldn't help like majorly, but it still helped a decent amount for things that just barely penned them. So this is the Panzer IV-J. I think it was actually a Panzer IV-J that had the chicken wire armor on it, so I'm pretty sure. I mean, don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure. So yeah, this is Panzer IV-J. Really, there's not that much differences with this one either, other than just apparently it doesn't have the little side skirts armor. So after the Panzer IIIs and IVs, next medium tank in the line was the Panther series. There is a Panther they do not have. Yeah, see, this is smoke grenades. I don't understand. But anyways, after a certain point in the war, they needed something better. They just needed something better. The T-34s were still putting up a good fight, so they had to make something better. This is the first model Panther. Now, It is a little confusing that the Panther D came before the Panther A, but it's just the order they came out. So the Panther D was definitely the worst of the variants just because the turret rotation was very slow compared to the later models. And you can tell the hull has a very different system. Like, it has this lift-up hatch, which not even War Thunder has this. I'm so glad they have this in here. Like, this little piece lifts up and the gun sticks out, and it's, yeah. So this was a little bit better. And actually, these little side plates, I think, weren't originally on all the Panthers. They put these on after they realized the Panther 2 project wasn't going to work, which that'll be in another video for the WWII videos and the blueprint vehicles. So next was the Panther A. You can see now they have that little ball machine gun on the whole armor. The Panther A was just so much better. It had, you can tell that the cupola was a little bit different, and this overall model was just slightly different. It had a better turret traverse. I mean, it still had the kind of the same mobility, but yeah. And then this is another Panther A. This is just a more modeled one. As you can see, they have a lot more track armor on the side of this. Just another example of, you know, where they would sometimes put extra armor. But this is the Panther, or not the Panther, the Panther G, which, as you can see these little weird textures on the armor. This is called Zimmerit. It's one of the two. I know the first time I said, I think I called it Zimmermit, and I don't think that, I think it's just Zimmerit armor. But these were to basically make it to where you couldn't throw sticky grenades or magnetic grenades on the tank. And it actually worked. I don't really understand how it worked, but apparently it worked, even though the Germans are really the only ones who had those kinds of things, or at least used them. And as you can see, the face is a little bit different. So if I back up here, you look at the Panther right here, you can tell it's a little bit different on the frontal mantlet of the turret. It can actually get trap shotted. So like right around here, the round would just skip off the armor and dip in and hit the top plate. But this prevented that from happening on the Panther G. They had this little lip on the side that made it to where you couldn't get trap shotted. And it was a pretty smart design. Now sadly, they do not have the Panther F in this game, which I'll put a picture of the Panther F on screen. I'm still not exactly sure if the Panther F saw combat. I think it was mainly they just had the turret built, but it was supposed to go on a Panther, but I'm still going to count it as something that was actually built. The Panther F, it was the best model of Panther that would have been made at the time, but I don't think it ever saw combat. So as of right now, the Panther G was the best tank that was in combat. Now, these little things have been making these little engine noises. These are little explosive devices. These little, basically remote-controlled RC little demolition things. Oh, these things were such memes. They actually had these in War Thunder for like a special event for the Sturm Tiger, but you know, I just thought I would include those because it's just absolutely hilarious. So here we are now on to the SPG Tank Destroyer series. This is the Stuig 33B. This is basically so if you look at the Sturm Tiger line, it basically is 3 siblings. This is the youngest of the 3. This is what was first. This came before the Broombar did. So this is the baby Broombar, or Broombear, or however the flip you pronounce it. This thing was very boxy, very weird, but it had a 150mm gun, howitzer, and did its job. Next was the Stuig 3B. They do not have the Model A in here, but this thing, yeah, this thing right here, this is basically just inviting you to shoot right in the vision hatch. I don't know why they had that as part of the design, but yeah, small 75. Obviously, the Stuig 3F was a lot better, not the best, but a lot better. And yeah, that's 75. And then you had the Stuig 3G. This is the early model. This is like the best of the Stuigs, honestly. And I think these had the highest kill to loss ratio in World War II, and they even had the little side skirts on the side of it. Do they have any, actually, do they have any tanks with Ausketten on the side of the tracks? I don't think they do. I don't think they do, because their tracks were very narrow, so they kind of got stuck in the snow and mud a lot when they were in Russia. But yeah, this is the early model. Here's the late model. So the late model has the Zimmerit pattern on it, and the machine gun is very different than the one over here. And honestly, there is a few differences, but not a lot. It's still the Model G. They just have, so like this, you can tell the little gun design is a little bit different than this one. This one's like a triangle. This one is more rounded. So this one was, the light ore, so much better. This is the Stug 42G. This has a 105 millimeter gun. This one was really for anti-tank purposes. I mean, it could have, but it was mainly to just destroy, you know, small fortifications. This is kind of like the broom bar, actually. So here it is. All right, in the game, it's the Sturmpanzer IV, because that's the technical name, but people just call it the broom bear. There is some slightly different models. There's some that have a machine gun mantlet on like the top right corner of the front plate where the gun is, but this is more like the War Thunder model. But yeah, so the broom bar was on the Panzer IV chassis, 150 millimeter gun barrel. Now, here you all know on this channel that this is my favorite tank of all time, even though it's not really a tank. The 38 centimeter RW61 Raketenwerfer, or the, you know, that's what the gun is, the Sturmmorser, or the Sturmtiger as people called it. So this is actually not in War Thunder because it is the prototype. As you can see, it has bolted on frontal armor, which was only on the prototype. And this is actually kind of weird. It's like a mixture of the prototype and the production, because the prototype was on the Tiger H, but they do not have the rubber road. They do not have the rubber wheels on the tracks. They just have the Tiger H1 hull, and they have the bolted on armor on the front, which basically they would have this truck that would carry the rounds. They'd load it onto this crane. They would open up this top hatch right here and basically load the rounds in there, which I think this is what people misunderstood for the 30-minute load time. Reload. It's like, no, that's 30 minutes to load. To reload, it was still several minutes, but not 30 minutes to reload. It could carry, I think they carried 12 rounds, but I mean, you could technically have 14 if you had the one in the gun barrel and then the one on the loading tray, which you've seen my War Thunder video, you know. If not, go watch that. I get very in-depth with the Sturmtiger in that video, but this, kind of cool to see that they have the prototype model in this game. Now this thing, this is not the railgun. This is actually a tracked vehicle, which is why I included it. This is the Karl Garet, or, you know, the 60 centimeter ridiculous thing. You've seen this in a few of my videos. 600 millimeter round. Look at all the ridges in that gun. Look at all those ridges. Let's see how detailed this is. I love this game. So they tended to name these after gods. This one was Thor. They had one that was Odin, Loki. I think they had one that was Zeus and Zrenyi, or Zen. There was something that was Z. And yeah, they just basically, I think there were 7 of these. One, I don't remember all the names. That's why I'm having a bit of a, I don't remember all the names. This one's obviously Thor, but this thing was insane. Absolutely crazy. So next we have the little tank destroyer line. Now this little thing right here, the Hetzer, this is what this is. This is the Jagdpanzer 38, but it's called the Hetzer. So they actually used, oh, there's bushes in the way. But they actually used, so if we zoom out here, they actually used the 38 Ts to make this. So if we go out, yeah, so they actually used the 38T side armor. Like you could tell by the tracks and the road wheels in these. But the, where's it at? How far away is it? Oh no, I lost it. Oh, it's right here. Okay, sorry. There's just a lot of tanks. So the Hetzer, a bit of a meme vehicle, really, but you know, still good. It was basically the Germans' turtle. That's what it was. I bet I can't. I'm not even wrong. I mean, you can look at this thing and be like, yeah, it's Germany's turtle. And obviously the upgunned model, the Jagdpanzer IV. This is the early. I think they tended to call this the Lang, actually. I think this used to be called the Lang. Alright, that's another name for it. So, you know, they have these things. and then they have the late war period, which late war you can tell there's a bit of a difference. This one has the early has the muzzle on the gun barrel, but this one does not. So this is, I think, they had the same gun, but this one didn't have a muzzle, but it did have the side skirt armor to help protect the side. So I honestly couldn't really tell you which gun was better. I actually think the early model gun was better than the late war, but that could just be me. So the Panzer 470V, so much better than the Panzer 470A. This basically had the Panther's gun on this little hole thing. This thing was very weird, but this was like the best of this little line here, and it all started with the Hetzer. So yeah, this is beginning to be a really long video. All right, so here we are with the Tigers. Whoa. There is so much off with this Tiger. This is weird. Well, this is the Tiger H1, but I don't know what's going on with the armor here on the boxy side. But here is the Tiger, the famous tank in World War II, that when it came out in 1942 was basically, for the most part, impenetrable for the time it came out, especially when they angled it like this, because the rounds would just bounce off the front and side of the armor. So when they angled it, this thing was even more of a deadly foe. But, had its 88mm gun. Here's a camo version. This one is really cool. I don't know, I just like this one. Kind of looks menacing. Now, obviously, the Tiger E, really the only differences with this is it had it didn't have the big cupola, which they don't have the Porsche Tiger in this game. I will show an image of what the Porsche Tiger looked like. I think that came first, and that's what they used for the Ferdinand. But the Porsche Tiger was absolute piece of crap, and that's why they have the Tiger 2H. Or not the Tiger 2H, the Tiger H1. There is a Tiger 2H, which we are almost there. So here is the Tiger 2P, which the P does not stand for Porsche Tiger. It actually stands for pre-production. It's a little misconception, because Porsche was not part of the project for the Tiger 2s. But the turret is very different than the one on the Tiger H, but you can't really see the Tiger H one very well because it's just the turret's different. The turret is very different. It has this weird thing, but this is the Tiger 2H, and yeah, this is basically. I think it was argued that this was the best heavy tank of the war, although the IS-2 could have been argued that the IS-2 is better, but. So here's the Ferdinand, or the Elephant, whatever the flip you want to call it. It's on the Tiger 2P chassis. This thing sucked. This thing really sucked. I mean, it was armored, but like this thing had so many transmission issues. Like it was actual garbage, and so was this. But at least this one was a lot more heavily armored. This is the YAG Tiger. This thing was. They were just so insanely heavy that their transmissions just did not work. Now the YAG Panther was good. Okay, well, at least better than the other two. But, this is the YAG of the heavy line. So the YAG Panther, the YAG Tiger, and, well, whatever you want to call this thing. But yeah, this is basically all the German tanks. Hope you enjoyed. This is a lot longer than my Soviet World War II tanks video, but, a lot more vehicles. So hope you enjoyed this. This is episode 4. I will be making another episode. I will not tell you what it is, but there will be more stuff like this to come. Sorry, I'm yawning. All right, well, hope you enjoy. Subscribe if you want more of this, and yeah, I'll see you next time.